This is Priscilla Benjamin Olaoye. Yeah, we have some couple of minutes, as mentioned. We want to just learn from your experience. You're a specialist, and I'm sure you've dealt with a lot of clients. Some people from our church you've been able to help out. What's your definition of depression? How do you, in layman's language, how do you define depression?
Good morning, church. I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much, Pastor Yemi, for the opportunity. I hope that this morning you would not just tag yourself as someone who has depression, because that's a very key area. I mean, that's a very key challenge that we've been going through in the area of mental health. So, depression actually is a state of consistent low mood. When one is consistently in a place of low mood and associated with certain behavioral changes. Depression is actually a mood disorder. There are several mood disorders that exist, and depression is one of them. I should always also say here that depression is majorly linked to suicide. Not so many people might know that, but it's majorly linked to suicide. But I'm sure we'll get into all of that as we go on.
So low mood,
consistent low mood.
Consistent low mood.
Yes, associated with some behavioral changes.
Can we have some examples of such people? Because in Nigeria, when something goes wrong, everybody just begins to say, I have depression, I have depression.
Right.
And that you're in a low mood does not mean you are depressed. So
yes. The word depression has been abused in our society. When someone is going through a situation, he or she goes, oh, that person must be depressed. So people are beginning to label other people to be depressed, and people also label themselves to be depressed. So you cannot say you're depressed until you have been clinically diagnosed, either by a psychiatrist or a clinical psychologist or a behavioral psychologist. Now, it's important for people to realize that they do not call themselves what they are not.
Okay, so some people are not depressed, but because they think they are depressed, it can lead to depression.
Absolutely, because what happens is our mind reasons in pictures. We don't reason. For example, if I say to you red car, your mind is not saying REDCAR. Immediately you picture a red car. Yeah. So our mind processes in pictures. So when you say I'm depressed, what you're saying is that is a state I would like to be in. Because that's the way your mind will process it. The mind functions in a very dynamic way that it can control what happens in the body.
Yeah.
And that's why we say that there are certain illnesses that do not have any physical bearing. Wow. We call those psychosomatic illnesses.
What did you call it?
Psychosomatic illnesses. These are illnesses that began in the mind, and the person will run several tests, and it won't show it. They will say nothing is wrong with you.
But the person will be feeling pain.
The person will feel the symptoms. Okay, let me ask the audience. Church, how many of you, when you were a bit younger, you observed that daddy and mommy usually takes care of the sick person more than the person who is well, and then you pretend sick? What happens thereafter?
They take care of you.
You start running fever.
Oh, okay. So
right.
They don't do it in the office.
Absolutely.
For sick leave.
Absolutely. Some people do it but that's how powerful the mind is. So.
Okay, but what are the triggers? The things that trigger. We have a question where someone is asking, what are the triggers for depression? Sometimes when you know the trigger, you can avoid such triggers. What are the major triggers for depression?
Okay, there are several. We call those, what you said triggers could be also known as stressors. Could be known as stressors. As much as there are several causes of depression, and they are in different category. For example, we have hereditary factors.
How do you mean?
Some people inherit the genes.
Depression.
Yes. Depression can
Wait,
be passed from one generation to the
Wait,
other.
the way people inherit diabetes,
Yes.
you can inherit depression.
Yes, you can.
Oh, Jesus.
So, you see...
So, you see why you must avoid this thing now? Not because for your sake, for our children's sake. Are you serious?
Yes, sir.
So, can people ask their parents? Sorry.
So usually, when we have to see a client, when we say when you have to clerk a client, what you're doing is you're asking for information. And part of that information, you want to know the family history.
Okay.
Is there a history of mental illness in the family? It doesn't have to be your direct father or mother. It could be a great-great-great-grandfather who's broken down before. So what happens is that genes is passed on, and it could be dormant.
And then, okay.
Right? And then it just triggers somewhere along the line. Yes.
But
Depending on other factors.
How do you deal with that? Let's assume it's hereditary. How do you counsel someone on that?
Okay, so usually I say that there are three key factors. First is hereditary factors. Second is environment, and the third is personality. Okay. So for someone who already inherited it, you want to make sure that you have balance in the other two.
Okay.
Your personality and your environment. So your personality, do you have a strong personality or you have a weak personality? Some people have weak personalities. You, for example, you share bad news with someone and the person is not able to handle it. You see someone panics quite easily. The person is not, so in the street language, we say shock absorber. The person does not, that's the street language, but that's not the professional term. So what kind of personality does this person have? So that's why in therapy, we teach people what we call coping skills.
Coping skills?
Yes, coping skills.
How to cope when
absolutely
something happens, okay.
Yes, there are certain skills. I'm sure we'll be able to go into that, later. But the thing is, you want to ensure that the person's personality is assisted. The person is assisted with coping skills. And then secondly, the environment. Is the environment friendly or hostile?
Okay, we're going to dive into coping skills,
right,
because we had this kind of teachings last week. So we're going to learn what it takes to cope, or the right way to cope. And then the environment, how do you mean? Because we have issues around us, employment challenges, marital pressure, financial issues. So the environment is not really friendly, okay? So it's like a given or default mode for many Nigerians. So how do we cope? Can we just get into such coping skills to help, whether it's hereditary or personality or environment? Okay, so first I want everybody to know that you create your own environment. And there is something we call the mind space. The mind space is that place where you say to yourself, I am creating what I desire to see. And I'm choosing to be in the place that I want to be, irrespective of what I see. We have 5 gatekeepers into our minds: our eyes, our nose, our mouth, our skin, and our tongue. These are called the organs of perception. Organs of perception. They are gatekeepers. Yes, they are gatekeepers. These are the things that feed you back on what is going on in your environment. So, and a very good example. Thank God we're in church. So I'm free to be, to be me. Because when we talk professionally, we want to avoid the spiritual dimension because you want to be as professional as possible. But this is church, so I can speak as a Christian that I am. So when you're in a place of prayer, you maybe go on your knees, you close your eyes, irrespective of the position that you assume when you pray. This is what happens. When you're in that place, you're focused on the divinity of God. You're focused on how powerful He is. Your eyes are, you're not seeing the challenge. Wow, okay. You've closed your mind to what you're going through because your eyes are focused on that powerful, amazing person who loves you and all of that. So all of your attention is focused on Him. Your organs of perception are not at work. The moment you get up from the place of prayer and you open your eyes and see those things and see where you live, you even see the couch on which you're praying, it feeds you back to saying, oh, hey girl, wake up. This is reality.
So that's what the organs of perception do to you. They tell you what's going on in the environment and takes your focus off what you're meant to, focus on. So talking of mental environment, you create your own space. You create your mental environment. So when scripture says that guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life, that's exactly what the Bible was saying. That you need to choose, in your living room, why do you have a door that you shut so that you know that? So you're living in America, for example, and you know that if spanking is not allowed. But I remember a friend who grew up in the UK, and her dad always says to her, they grew up in the UK, and her dad always says to her, yes, I know this is the UK, I will spank you. But you see, within these walls is Nigeria. The way they raise children in Nigeria is the way I will raise you. So, in your home, there is a way you behave. That's the way your mind works. You need to have a door that you shut. That you know that within here, there are certain things that are allowed. You create that boundary. That irrespective of what your eyes see, irrespective of what you feel, irrespective of what you're hearing, you're saying that, no, this is not my environment. I'm defining what my environment is. So, for example, you've inherited this. You have a weak personality, but you're saying to yourself, I am creating my environment. The physical environment might not be friendly, but I'm choosing what I'm allowing in here.
Now, that's good. That's a good place to clap. But are you talking about willpower, or there's something else that ought to work in you to shut those things out? Because if you don't have anything on your inside to as a different information or a better information, then it might be hard to shut that out. Because some people just think the session is not affecting me. I don't think that is not even sustainable. I think God's word is what will help us shut out those stuff. You have to have something different on your inside. For instance, if it's hereditary, okay, you give yourself a different information from God's word to tackle that one and you shut it out. Is it possible to do that?
Oh, yes. So you're saying to yourself, I am a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. As much as I have my parental lineage, I now have a new lineage.
Focus more on that.
And you focus more on that. But I love the fact that you've asked that question, Pastor Amy. Tomorrow on my radio show, I'm going to be talking about mental health habits.
Mental health habits.
Mental health habits.
Can we have some part of it?
Definitely, I will. But, what you're asking is that, are there certain things I can do to, not just shutting, Yes. So the way you developed, when anybody is born.
Yes.
So when everybody is born, we're born with a clean slate. When a child is born, we call that concept, it was postulated by John Locke in the 17th century. We call that concept tabula rasa. That is...
Hey, wait. What did you call it?
Tabula rasa. You see, I love this audience. Clap for yourself.
Oh, you know it? I know the Bible. Tabula rasa. That's good. Even saying that you can free you from depression.
Right. So we call that concept tabula rasa. Tabula rasa is saying, John Locke postulated that when a child is born, thank you very much. When a child is born, that child is born with a clean, look at that clean sheet of paper. The mind is born, when a child is born, it's born blank. There is nothing on that person's mind. So that child, opens his or her eyes after he's born and sees two strange people smiling. So that child, and then when that continues on a consistent basis, the child learns to smile. He smiles, so it mirrors the environment. So we are a product of our environment. You see why you need to create your environment? So you're a product of your environment. Everything you've got to, everything you're learning, everything you have become as a product of what you've picked up. So our minds are like sponges. We are just sponging everything. Somebody has not spoken to you before, but you've learned something from that person. You see somebody wear something, and you've not even said hello, but that person has touched you. You've sponged something. So the concept of tabula rasa is saying that you are learning from your environment. So you were not born to be a liar. You learned to lie. You were not born to fidget and live in unbelief. You learned unbelief. So everything you learned can be unlearned.
Everything you learned can be unlearned. That it wasn't forced on you in that sense.
It wasn't forced on you. You picked it. So the way you picked your eating habit, why do you love amala? You love amala because you were born in Nigeria. If you were born in America, you love something else.
That's true.
So we actually are a product of environment. So you develop certain habits. You began to sleep in a particular way for certain reasons.
Mattress that you had.
Because of the kind of, maybe you didn't even have a mattress growing up. So you see some people, irrespective of how big the bed is, they will still sleep.
Yes, me, yes.
Because we're sharing the bed with maybe 4 people.
Hey!
You know,
why do you eat the meat after the
food?
Why? you reserve. Why? Why don't you start with the meat?
Absolutely. So you see, these are habits. These are habits that we picked up growing up and all of that. So the same way you develop these habits, you also developed what we call mental health habits.
Oh. Okay, like thinking patterns.
Yes. So you develop these patterns. So, for example, you learned how to get angry like the speed of light. You learned it. So this is a habit. So coping skills, which are mental health habits, can be learned. So, a very good example. Everybody say after me, repression.
Repression.
Now, repression, for example, is what we call a mental defense mechanism.
A mental defense mechanism.
That's mental defense are the defenses in your mind that you use in blocking out or taking away any painful event. So repression, for example, is a technique used by so many people around the world. This is a situation where you choose to forget a painful experience. So you find something you find it mentally draining. Maybe you lose someone, you lost a job, something painful, an event, a life event. We talked about stressors. You were asking about triggers. So when you now take that trigger or a stressor, rather than deal with it, you push it down into your subconscious mind.
But it's there.
It didn't go away.
But it's there, okay.
You now continue this way from age 3. Because we come to a place of consciousness at age 3. So you keep piling this up, irrespective of the fact it doesn't matter if you're a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You might have the knowledge, but you might not implement it. That's why knowledge is meant from understanding. Knowledge is when you know. Understanding is when you do. So, thank you. So you take all of those events, you keep pushing it down, until your tank is full.
Okay, it gets to a level where it overflows out.
Yes. And then your cup begins to run over, and then the person breaks down.
Things that people say, why is it?
Absolutely.
Is it deliverance that... How do you do that? Because it's been there for so long, 20 years, 30 years.
So I teach a concept called mental detoxification.
Mental?
Detoxification.
Yes.
So you detox your body. You want to clear out your system. Some people take green tea. Some people do water therapy. Some take herbs just because you want to flush it. Some people take okpaeni because they want to detox and all of that. Some people, use antioxidants, But as much as we do this for our physical body, we carry around a lot of mental junk.
Yes, a lot.
And we don't flush it out. So we're saying that what are the habits for your mental health that you have picked up? And is detoxification one of your routine?
You normally
Flushing it out. Some flush out with the word of God. Some flush out with physical affirmation. But first, you must understand your personality. Are you a visual person? A visual person is someone who is moved by pictures, who what they see affects them a lot.
Yes, yes.
They rather not see something.
Okay.
If they hear about it, they are not moved. But when they see it, those are people that if you want to teach them, if you don't have an audiovisual, whatever, they don't really get the total picture. They might hear you, but they don't have a total picture of it. So if you're a visual person, for example, you want to begin to have what we call the vision board, and you want to have on your screensaver, you want to have a picture of the ideal.
What you desire.
What you desire. You want to run away from things that trouble you, things that you want to avoid things like that as much as possible. If you're an auditory person, that is someone who, sponges as a reason of what they hear. For example, I am an auditory person. I'm particular about words.
Okay.
So some people are particular about words, people's choice of words. So when you say certain things to them, you see they take it in a different way, and you're wondering, why are you overreacting? That person is an auditory person. So the person is particular about sound. The person is particular about
tone of voice.
Yes, tone of voice. So the person, you say you're shouting. And you wonder, I'm not shouting, but to that person you're shouting. Because the person is particular about pitch. Something resonates with Pastor. You know,
I preach a lot, so when I'm talking at times, my voice goes up.
So if you're an auditory person, you want to do a recording of an affirmation for yourself.
On your phone?
On your phone.
Like you say some things
in your own voice.
Wow.
So you do what we call self-affirmation. So you record it. And you use that as your alarm every morning.
Ooh. Ooh, don't you like that? I'm a superman.
Oh, yes. So you say it, and we have been, sir, let me quickly say that we have been taught to praise God. When you say just give God all the praise, give him all the worship, we know the right things to say to God. But when it comes to ourselves, you say, Emike, Nami they talk. So you believe that you hear certain testimonies and you believe that, it's for them. That can only happen to them. It's not coming close here.
Wow.
They are not for people like us. You go, you do a training or you listen to some message, from the altar, and you say, Pastor, that is a church. But let us go to the real world. What is the real world? The real world is what you call it. The real world is what you have created for yourself.
Wow. Thank you. Have you learned a lot? Amazing. So people need new pictures.
Yes, for visual people, auditory people need kinesthetic people, people that are feelers. So you want to ensure that your environment is top notch.
How did that?
So because we feel aura, we feel our environment. So for example, you want to be particular about your clothes. You want to be particular about the colors in your house.
Yeah.
You want to be particular about that. You want to be particular about, the way you feel when a particular person is talking to you. There are certain people that rub you off on the wrong side. There's just something about them. You just see, you're struggling. So as a kinesthetic person, that would affect you a lot. A visual person, it might not really affect the person. So you need to understand the kind of personality you have. So, I teach greatly on what we call the self-concept, understanding you. So the Priscilla, that this physical vessel is not Priscilla. The Priscilla is the voice you hear. That is a representation of my spirit, and my spirit is me. So you want to really define and understand who you are. That's what we call self-concept. I teach on the theory of self-concept. You need to understand your person. You need to understand what defines you. You say to someone, who are you? And he says, oh, I'm Priscilla Benjamin Olaoye. That's not you. Who really are you? You need to, if you don't understand who you are, people will tell you what you are not.
Find you in their
And
own...
define who you are not.
When you mentioned mental health earlier, it's something that in Africa people are scared of. When they hear mental health, it looks like somebody has a mental problem. Can we just talk about that a bit,
Okay.
mental health, and then you help as we close in this particular service on situational depression and clinical
depression. Thank
mental
you, sir.
health. Yeah.
Okay, so let me start from the last question and then I go to the other. So situational depression is is a situation, pardon me, where someone goes through a stressful environment and stressful event, and then the person begins to exhibit certain symptoms of depression. So symptoms of depression could include loss of appetite. The person is not eating. It could involve lack of sleep. We call that insomnia. The person loses sleep both during the day and at night. The person begins to lose weight. The person could also, now not all of the symptoms, the person could just speak, just like malaria, it presents differently in different people. The person begins to lose interest in things that usually would interest him or her. So the person, for example, would not, wants to be in isolation. The person could go through what we call mutism. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. Mutism, you just mute, he's not talking to anybody. And you see, there are different variations. But the difference with situational depression is that when that person has been able to deal with that, when that thing is over, it should go.
It should move on, at least.
It should go.
It's not permanent, so to say.
It's not permanent, unlike clinical depression.
Okay.
So clinical depression could be triggered by a lot of things. It could be biological. It could be triggered by a lot of things. But that is a situation where the person gets better, and then after a while, the person would break down again when the stressor is reintroduced, shows up.
Is it safe to say that some people are just going through situational
It's very possible.
depression?
It's very possible.
Don't take it as a lifetime.
Not a lifetime thing. Another one is postpartum depression.
Postpartum, okay.
That is the depression after delivery.
Okay, what triggers that? Is it just the delivery? Or?
You see, the major, no, medically, I'm not talking spiritually. Professionally, we say that people go through depression because of a brain chemical. It's usually very low at the time. And that brain chemical is called serotonin.
Serotonin?
Yes, sir.
It's low after delivery?
It's present in all of us.
Yes.
But for people who go through postpartum depression, it goes to a very low level after delivery. And then they could have postpartum depression. But for anyone who has depression, usually we say that is based on low level of serotonin. That's why most antidepressants walk around, yes. So we have different types of antidepressants. But most of the time they walk around the brain chemical called serotonin. And there are things that you could do to boost your serotonin level.
Your radio program is on Mondays, right?
Yes,
Mondays,
sir. Every Monday. Radio Continental.
8 p.m.
102.3, 8 p.m. every Monday.
Radio Continental, as she speaks on health,
mental health. It's called Your Mind and You with Priscilla.
Okay, please, you can enjoy that for free. Can we put our hands together for Priscilla? Thank you very much for adding value to us. We have learned a whole lot, especially speaking into a device and listening. That's why we love listening to other people's music. If you notice, we like the voice, we like what is being said. We can do that for ourselves. And if you have the capacity, go to a studio and record and let them mix it up for you, isn't it? And then get on your phone and hear yourself every morning. Speak. Is your voice, is your device. Speak all the things you desire and hear it again. But by the way, that means many of us are not depressed. And that you are in a low mood is because you didn't eat well yesterday. Don't make it look like, And for some people, maybe it's just situational. And from the things we've been teaching, I'm hoping that we're going to handle the situation better and then you move on. If it's clinical, I trust that we'll have victory. And if you need counsel or some therapy, you can also get to them. The fees are not out of this world. Spending money on your mental health, it's more important than many, many other things. Let's bow our heads to pray.